Let's get into it. I'd spent a few hours after I did the last live session and went through and watched the entire press conference with Dear Leader Pornstar Humper and his crew of alkalites and sycophants. Rubio. Wow. Rubio is the first cabinet member in U.S. history to actually put the balls of the president of his mouth in it put president's balls in his mouth on live television. It was so sycophantic, so bending the knee. Um, I never liked Rubio. I just never understood what a useless puke he was. This is a weak man. Um, the press conference was horrific. And let's start at the top level why it was horrific. Dear Leader had multitudes of problems pronouncing words and not slurring through his words. Okay, I guess that was an important part of the invasion. Um, it seemed, other than Trump's written comments, which I'm sure Stephen Miller wrote, because again, Trump, and I know I'm repeating myself, but it's got to be restated. Trump is not making these policies. Vaught, Miller, other people are making these policies. Trump is just, oh, look what we have to do. Oh yeah, I have to look like a strong president. Blah. I mean, he's so out of it. And the press conference today, I mean, he just drifted in and out of tangents, couldn't pronounce words, couldn't stop slurring complex words. You know, in general, he looked bad. He looked like he was in a rough spot today. Um, and outside the press conference, there's a whole bunch of concerns because they are literally rewriting American law American law that comes from the last time we had to clean up a mess, post Nixon. The War Powers Act is a direct response to Nixon's corruption. Okay. One of the things that the law requires is they notify Congress. Okay. They went off on a massive tirade during the press conference, like, oh, we can't brief Congress. They're leakers. Okay. This is again Donald Trump, or worse, Stephen Miller and Ross Vaught legislating from the White House. Because the law says you got to notify Congress. That's what the law says. There's no ambiguity. There's no dispute. You have to notify Congress. Okay. They notified some of the Republicans of the Gang of Eight after it started. And that's a little conflicting. Like, some people say it was Republicans. Some said it was most of the Gang of Eight, but not all of them. Um, Trump has just declared a hemisphere-wide war in complete violation of the War Powers Act. There's no congressional authorization for a war in Venezuela, nor the list of other wars they told you they're going to get into. Now, I'll get into that in a minute. But they told you this is just the first. South America is just dominoes. They can put in a right-wing clown like the guy in El Salvador, or put in a trafficker who does business with Trump and his family and his cronies like Hernandez from Honduras, who he just pardoned, or I can topple you with the military, with the U.S. military. That is now the policy of today, because we don't really have policies anymore. We don't know, like the National Security Report that came out like a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, whatever. It didn't make any fucking sense. Europe is now America's national security threat, and then we invade Venezuela. Okay. There's no congressional authorization to do any of this. Now, I know the War Powers Act says if he thinks there's a real emergency. Now, that little footnote that was put in the Supreme Court decision, well, if it's national security, then we have to give him different. So everything now is a national security emergency, including Venezuela. We couldn't notify Congress until after it started. Why? Because Congress is leakers. He said that aloud today. I am not going to pre-inform Congress, even the ones that hold top secret clearances on the Intelligence and the Armed Services Committee, who under a legal agreement are the ones who get notified anytime the military goes green. Anytime the balloon goes up, 8 people in Congress minimum must be notified. Okay, they knew they were going to attack months ago. They didn't tell anything to Congress until after it started. Then they said it was a national security emergency, even though they had been planning it for months. You can plan an emergency months ahead? That's interesting. No, you're just waiting for an opportune time to do it. Like the courts, because the calendar here matters. They lost 2 major court decisions. Okay, the Supreme Court and then the California courts just handed Trump his head over the National Guard and the military deployments on U.S. soil. He got obliterated in federal court. Obliterated. Okay? Tens of millions of Americans just lost their health care. We know the DOJ is in direct violation of a public law requiring the release of the Epstein files. Their solution? Invade Venezuela. See how easy it is? I want to go back to his end of his first term, where the reporting said he wanted to start a war with China to distract from the fact he lost the election. So should Venezuela's invasion, boots on the ground in Venezuela, surprise anybody? Now, they couldn't even get their reasons straight in the press conference. Rubio said very clearly, even though he was totally unprepared, and you could tell he was very nervous, very almost disoriented. We were just simply helping the DOJ execute an arrest warrant, and we got that help from the DOD. America. Then Hegseth and Trump follow up with, look, we have a new colony we just invaded, and we're going to exploit it. They couldn't even get their story straight amongst the 5 or 6 people who were on the stage with Trump at the lectern. It was about enforcing a warrant that nobody else would enforce. That's funny. You met with Netanyahu. He's got a warrant out for his arrest. Did you arrest him? No. You met with Putin. He has an arrest warrant out for him. Did you arrest him? No. You laid out the fucking red carpet for Putin in Alaska, don't you remember? With a standing arrest warrant out for him. A valid Interpol warrant. We had to enforce an arrest warrant because he didn't surrender, so we had to go get him. Okay, why didn't that apply to Netanyahu? Why didn't that apply to Putin? There's no transparency to what they're doing. And then they just walk out to the podium today. When will Trump have an arrest warrant? He did. He would have if they wouldn't have fucked around with Jack Smith. Patricia, that's a thing I'll do later, the next couple of days or so, is I'm going through the video testimony of Jack Smith. Jack Smith was ultra clear. He had beyond reasonable doubt to charge Trump in a myriad of crimes, to including instigating, supporting, and making sure the insurrection occurred. Okay, not to mention all the follow-up crimes they did after the election and in the cover-up and the stolen election conspiracy crap. And as Rubio goes, we were just enforcing an arrest warrant. Like he's trying to stay out of The Hague instead of stay out of a jail in the Netherlands, in an international prison in the Netherlands. Then they immediately turn around and spend Shit, 15 minutes. It's about the oil, motherfuckers. The oil's mine, motherfuckers. American companies own that oil. They stole the oil. They didn't. That's a complete canard. That's not even remotely true. They stole all our oil. Oh, you mean including the companies that got service contracts and then working there for decades? After the nationalization, you're saying they stole all their shit even though they got paid? Okay, that's a nationalist fantasy right there. Okay. But they made it all about the oil. He effectively placed himself as the CEO of Venezuelan oil today. And then he immediately goes, no, no, no. These people on stage are going to be running Venezuela. Todd Blanche is going to be running Venezuela? Todd Blanche has got millions of documents he can't clear and get released under the Epstein public law, under the release law. But he has time to be the viceroy of Venezuela? Marco Rubio's already got 3 jobs. His 4th job is going to be what? The deputy viceroy of Venezuela? Venezuela is the first domino in this hemisphere. Dear leader is copying Putin. Putin wants the Iron Curtain back. Trump's building his own in this hemisphere. He come out and said it. I am going to choose the neighbors we have in this hemisphere. And Hegseth went, lethality, bro! Pull-ups, bro! But I'm sure Chuck Schumer is writing a sternly worded memo at this time. You know, the story, whatever story they're making up, it lasts about 2, 3, 4 hours, and they change to a new story. And we're less than 24 hours into this. We've got 9, 10 fucking conflicting excuses on why this happened, the invasion happened, what was the background, what was China's influence. We're getting just multitudes of fucking answers to the same questions. And when you start to listen to all the conflicts, they don't make any sense. They said, hey, the vice president of Venezuela, she's in charge. They're their own country. That lasted an hour and a half. Oh, she was handpicked by Maduro. She can't run the country. So everybody in the room is going to run the country. Okay, let me tell you what actually happened. And I know I'm right on this because when I was watching the press conference, I was watching it on the Bulwark, and the retired Lieutenant General Mark Hertling, the former commander of USAR in the 7th Army in Europe, was sitting there, and just his body language and the way he was just clearly frustrated and I think as pissed as I was, none of what they were saying were making any sense. Okay. And one of the biggest things that didn't make any sense is they kept saying that this was an emergency, but they've been planning it for months. But now that they're holding the press conference and the invasion and capture of Maduro and his wife have been done, so who's in charge of Venezuela now? Bob, is it you or Carl? Who's in charge of it? Oh, well, they're all in charge of Venezuela. Okay, you know what that really tells me? Nobody is in charge. They never thought through the local leadership. None of the only thing they cared about was holding the press conference, doing the lethality, bro, media stunt. Kane sound like a fucking moron in this thing. Oh my God, what a fucking tool that guy is. I can see why that asshole was brought out of retirement because he's as big of an asshole as Hegseth is. They're matched fucking set. I'm going to give you a briefing without letting you know any of our mission requirements, personnel, methods, or procedures. And then he spends the next 20 minutes going through every single detail and the timeline and the timestamps of the mission. Okay, so the only thing they thought about was getting the headline through a coup that just eliminated the War Powers Act, international law, and the relationships with most countries in this hemisphere. And hours after the invasion, and Maduro's about to land in New York City, then they go, "Who? I guess we're all in charge of Venezuela." They didn't plan for anything. They planned for the military mission, just like Iraq. What happened in Iraq is about to repeat itself in Venezuela. Okay? Because that Nobel Peace Prize gal that Trump endorsed, she comes walking off of a fucking C-141 with a bunch of Marines. The insurgency and riots will last 5 years. Thousands of more GIs will die. Hundreds of thousands of Venezuelan civilians will die. If Venezuela sees this as just an empty invasion to steal their shit, you're going to end up with an insurgency. Thousands of American GIs will die. Whole bunch of contractors. Oh, everybody got upset about Fallujah where the contractors got, strung up on the bridge. That's about to happen again. So you pull out your Fallujah photos, you dust them off, because you're about to see this movie all over again. They don't know who's in charge. They don't like anybody who could possibly be the leader. They will evade arrest anybody that takes over Venezuela because they now are the collective viceroys of Venezuela. People with 3-4 jobs in America in the administration anyways, now they got free time to run another country. I want to know what a farmer's widow feels about this, that they have so much free time on their hands. They can go invade another country and then run it and seize its oil industry. The farm widow, because her husband killed himself last month when the farm went bankrupt. Because that's what's happening in the Midwest. Bankruptcies all over the place. Farmers are going out of business. But hey, we just stole the oil industry in Venezuela. We're winning. I'm going to tell you how much you're losing. Okay? Venezuela was the first domino. Cuba is next. Mexico is third. Colombia is fourth. Okay? By the time we get 2 months into Mexico, they're going to announce the cancellation of Social Security, Medicare, all support, all school funding, everything to go to tax breaks to Trump and his cabinet and to pay for the war in South America. You ready for it? You think you're fucking poor now, America? Stand fucking by. I think there's about an 80% chance we're heading into a Great Depression. Like the stock market collapsing. They're going to kill the dollar, and then the bond market's going to fail. The stock market's going to go next, and then it's housing. And then every asset we have is worthless, and the dollar can't buy shit. But hey, Trump and his cronies now are running Venezuela, and they now own and profit from their oil industry. All good, right? No public schools, no health care, no Medicare, no Social Security. Hell, a lot of counties won't even have hospitals. They won't have police departments. They won't have any schools whatsoever. You'll just be destitute, broke, Somalia grade, lost fucking souls sitting in an empty environment with no economy. Why? Because we have to pick our neighbors. Military conquest is the only, no matter who the fuck is running the show, all our money is going to go to failed military conquests. Because all that happened today was Trump goes, watch this, I can turn the volume knob to 11. I can not only not tell anybody I'm going to invade a country, even though he signaled it left and right. Everybody knew this was coming that was watching. Okay. But then he goes in and he goes, yeah, it's all mine now. Okay, he's made $3.4 billion as president through his social media company and other corrupt schemes he's running. Now he's going to get kickbacks and everything else from the seizures of the oil industry in Venezuela. And by the way, seizing this for oil, oh my God, you guys don't know what a fucking project timeline is. Even if you put every effort under the sun from Chevron to the Navy Seabees down in Venezuela, you still got 3 to 7, possibly 8 or 9 years before you restore production levels to what would be considered industry standard. If the decay of the oil industry was that bad under Chavez and Maduro, it's going to take you minimally 5 to 7 years to get that shit back online. Okay, are you ever going to see the benefit of cheaper oil? No, you can't even possibly see it for another 7 years. If the supply isn't in the market because you're still fixing the shit in Venezuela, how does that add to the supply and lower cost? And what really pisses me off, he literally thinks everybody believes this hook, line, and sinker, and we should all just drop to our knees and thank him like he's a deity that just arrived to save fucking Earth. I mean, every freaking news outlet is reporting the same. It's the same thing over and over and over. I didn't mishear what I heard in the press conference. And I love how they just were rubbing each other's cocks in this fucking meeting. Oh my God, the US military is the only military on the planet that could ever launch a military mission and be successful at it. Look at us, we're so successful. Commando di Francais have lost missions and been successful. The Italian army and Italian intelligence and Carbonari have launched missions and been successful against some pretty heavy duty targets. Sure, is our military good? Yeah. Are we doing good things with it? No, no. We're going to stabilize the whole hemisphere, run our economy into the ground, destroy the dollar so Trump and his friends can make money invading countries. And so Hegseth can flex. Ooh, look, I'm so tough. I did pull-ups. Ooh. I just do not get how how we got into the situation we're in now. Because what the Venezuelan invasion represents is a complete, not departure, but a complete elimination of everything Trump ran on in his campaign. Weiss. The deep state invades nations and spy on us because they have to cover up how they're losing all our money in Iraq. So you're going to lose all our money in Venezuela? Because what was the excuse today? Venezuelan oil will pay for it all. It won't cost us anything. That's what Dick Cheney lied to us about in Iraq. It ended up costing us $4 trillion. That's why they want to cancel your Medicare, your health insurance, your Social Security, arts, education, including K through 12, eliminate all colleges that aren't the goddamn wacko right-wing Nazi colleges, the theocratic nationalist colleges. They want to eliminate cancer research. Why? Why? So they can lie to you by telling you that somebody else's oil will pay for it all. The absurdity of the press conference, they were like trying to exude how much they had every move on the chessboard figured out. No, you figured out how to pull a stunt with a highly trained military unit. And it is a political stunt. So you thought, oh, I know how I can get over on this. I'll just go ahead and have the military do my dirty work. And then I'll come out and tell people I saved the world. But then he came out and said something different. He said, I just grabbed a colony of the United States of America. And I'm going to exploit that colony's resources like I was the East India Trading Company. The same way Putin wants to exploit Ukraine. The same way Trump and Witkoff want to exploit Ukraine. The peace deal in Ukraine is not a peace deal. It's a shakedown. How can you rob and direct the natural resources of Ukraine into Putin and Trump's pockets? Or their cronies' pockets? Now we're doing this same thing with Venezuela. The same thing. And then, with not even trying to hide it that much. I mean, they were just like, casually putting it out there. Yeah, Cuba's a problem. Translated, Cuba's next. Okay. Can you imagine the asshole they will install in Cuba? My three top guesses is the next president of Cuba will be Marco Rubio, George Santos, or Kyle Rittenhouse. It's Cuba that's next. It's Mexico after that. Then it's Colombia. Then it's Canada. Now, three of the four I just mentioned are allies, friends, and hyper cooperative nations to America. Like the fact a lot of people don't know, the facts, plural, that a lot of people don't know about Mexican intelligence and Mexican security, the Canadian military and the Canadian intelligence services, as well as the Royal Mounted Canadian Police, and the Colombian light infantry and the Colombian police. They are direct allies of ours. Direct. As much as Spain is an allied air cover unit for us. Same way the Panzerwehr in Germany is directly aligned with us. These are closely aligned countries to the United States of America. They will not bend a knee to the tyrant of the Western Hemisphere, so Trump is going to invade them. Because he's being told by Vaught and Miller that being as, and he sees it himself, like, look at the way Trump has talked for 10 years. Every Western leader he fucking hates. Every one of his supporters mocks every Western leader. They adore Putin, Orban, Bolsonaro, Kim Jong-un. They love Nigel Farage. They hate the actual leadership of Britain. Up to and now, including King Charles, because he cut Andrew Windsor off from the royal family because of the Epstein files. To say we're in a bad spot, that's a total understatement. Total understatement. He is about to wreak havoc. Like when we go into Mexico, Cuba will start unnerving people. People will start changing behaviors. They won't go out and shop because they'll see like we're going into a massive world war. Because this is the start of World War III. It may not end up like World War II, where every country going at it in major, tank battles. But in the next century parlance, this is World War III. And when you go into Cuba, people are going to realize, oh yeah, this is just the next domino, and they're gonna spend more and more and more money on invading countries, more and more money on the military, more and more money on ICE and police, and they're going to cut every other services out until the economy starts to to go down like a house of cards. But when they hit Mexico and they disrupt the manufacturing, the 20th century, 21st century manufacturing corridor is from northern Mexico all the way up through Texas to Oklahoma and Nebraska. That's the new 20th century, 21st century industrial center. Okay. You send troops through Mexico because I doubt he'll just do Mexico. He'll do anybody with a leader that isn't directly aligned with him, like literally willing to build prisons and take American citizens and torture them in the prisons for him. If he doesn't have that level of a relationship with that leader in Central America or South America, I am convinced we will invade them. But once those tanks, once those Apache helicopters, once those missions start going bad and we get a Black Hawk Down Mexico style, manufacturing is going to be impacted. Supply chain is going to be destroyed, far worse than the COVID problems we had. And everything from you won't be able to get an alternator for your truck to you won't be able to buy appliances. Okay. Because they all think this is instantaneous. They arrested one day, invading, bombing, shooting up a town, shooting bodyguards, grabbing Maduro and his wife, and they go, oh, boom, we won the war. There's nothing else to do. That's exactly what we did in Iraq. Oh, look, somebody tore down a statue of Iraq. The war is over. Was it? No. But when you do Iraq after Iraq after Iraq after Iraq, when you do Venezuela, Cuba, Mexico, Colombia, whoever else he's pissed off at, given whatever mood he's in when he wakes up, because we don't have policy. Go back to that national policy determination a months ago. I already talked about that. It makes very, very, very little sense. Other than he has some grievances about some people who don't bow to his will. When you literally think the French and the Germans are our enemies above anybody else, you're a con artist doing something behind the curtain. You're a dangerous idiot doing something in public too. Because dear leader has it stuck in his fucking head that Germany is anti-America. I lived there for 3 years. My family is German. I can tell you that is not true. Okay. And this hyper minority of Nazis in Germany right now from the old East sector, mostly Saxony, ADF, Alternative for Deutschland. Okay. They're a hyper minority. Okay. But they're the only people in Germany that Trump supports. That's telling. That's telling. And I'm convinced Helsinki was the moment. Interpreters, fuck off. I'm going to make a deal with Putin. Putin gets Eastern Europe and Ukraine all the way down to the seas, all the way out to Berlin. Trump gets this hemisphere, and China and Pakistan and India can just fight it out. And first guy to get to Africa gets to exploit Africa. It's like a really fucked up version of Risk, the board game. It's funny how we couldn't afford anything. We can't afford cancer research, but we can definitely afford running another country. Again, under the same excuse they gave us for Iraq. Iraq oil will pay for it all. No, it didn't. Didn't pay for any of it. You paid for all of it. You paid for all the tariffs and you paid all for the Iraq war. How do you feel now, America? And after you paid for the tariffs, and after you paid for the Iraq war, and after you paid for the bank bailouts, and after you paid for the junk bond kings, and after you paid out for bailing out Lockheed Martin in the middle of a war, then they tell you, we're going to take away your Social Security and Medicare that comes from a completely different revenue stream. The oligarchs are going to make money off this invasion. You are going to lose everything you knew about America. Are you ready for that? Rural red America, the reddest, ruralest counties in America, you are already the sacrificial lamb. A lot more counties just got included. The entire middle class just got included. The entire wealth, effort, resource, blood, sweat, and tears of America is going to go into a hemisphere-wide war. So Trump and his cronies can profit. Bezos owned Washington Post bent the knee immediately this morning. Oh my God, Venezuela invasion was the best, most heroic thing the world has ever seen. Oh my God, we should all be down praying to dear leader Pornstar Humber for saving us. This is exactly why I canceled my subscriptions to the Washington Post and also the New York Times. We're being set up to fail. Most of America is already poor. I've already brought you the stats a bunch of times. But here's one. Gen Xers, me. I'm the oldest of Gen Xers. I only miss being a boomer by a couple of days. Okay. Half the Gen Xers, half my wife and I's generation, do not have a single dollar saved for retirement. Not a dollar. Gens that follow don't have any money. The Gen Ys and Zs and As that have money in their pockets, it's from their parents and their grandparents 99% of the time. Most of the young kids, most of the children, as Kathleen Madigan says, anybody that's younger than us, we always say children. Any of the children living in their own apartment, that's nice. Probably subsidized by mom and dad or grandma and grandpa. They already scooped the middle out of the economy. Now they're going to spend our entire wealth invading other countries because we need to select our neighbors. Because of fentanyl. Wait a minute, you just invaded Venezuela, and I downloaded, like I showed you in my last live video, I downloaded the PDF of the indictment. The word fentanyl does not appear anywhere. Oh, and then the mythical, magical fucking lies dear leader Pornstar Hubbard told. Well, we all know that Trendiawaga, not just in Denver, but cities all over the country, were cutting off the hands of people who called 911. I really think the sheriffs of America would have fucking sent something if there was a nationwide crime spree of people having their hands cut off for calling emergency services. I really think that would have made the news before the fucking press conference this morning. Oh, the asshole he pardoned? Assholes, plural, he pardoned? We're working with drug traffickers, working with the cartels. Then he lets the cartels in the border and doesn't tell the DOJ and doesn't tell Congress why these cartel people were let in over the border with no warning. Trendriaga. Oh my fucking God, shut up. And he has a habit of doing that. He just picks some random fucking gang someone told him about. He can't remember a lot, so he fixates on one thing, and that's kind of an indicator of somebody who's aged and showing signs of age. He just fixate. Like in his first term, he was fixating on somebody I can't recall off the top of my head, and I'm like, he said the gang's name, and I'm like, I know it's been a while since I've been in the gang, but they were never that big. And I'm like, no, they're kind of tiny. Like if the Crips and the Bloods and the NF decided that group needed to go, they'd be gone. Yeah. There are groups I worry about a lot more than I do Changiagua. Not that I'm saying that they're like innocent and they're not a gang. They are a gang. They're a bunch of shitheads. I get it. Okay. But the fixation is what I'm speaking to. It's the same fixation in the late 80s, early 90s, where you had these retired police lieutenants roaming the West Coast, giving these officer safety training days. And basically, the training days was just all fluff and panic about how name a biker gang, sometimes far from the biggest biker gang that's around us, right? Are going to take over America. They're going to take over counties. They're going to take over states. And we're like, stop with the panic and the bullshit, would you? And one of the side things they let out tonight, or today in that video that I'm talking about tonight, is the big reason they wanted to hit Venezuela first doesn't seem to have anything to do with an unserved arrest warrant for Maduro. Once Maduro is gone from Venezuela, Rubio is going to take down the State Department declaration that they can't deport people, which they got challenged in court about, because Maduro's regime is a threat to returnees to Venezuela. Well, if Maduro isn't there, then dear leader and Christy Nome, the puppy killer, the cosplaying little Nazi whore, the fake cop in her bulletproof vest, she's going to deport all the Venezuelans. My concern? All the Venezuelans, even if they're legal residents. If you're Venezuelan, you're about to be deported back to Venezuela with a gun stuck in your back. Did you see the way they transported Maduro to New York City? Like he was a terrorist in Al Qaeda? That's Venezuelans going back to Venezuela, and it's going to start in the next couple of days to the next couple of weeks. Plane loads are going to go back. Oh, see, there's no problem in Venezuela anymore. Maduro's gone. This way, none of the Venezuelans need to be in America. They don't follow our ethno-state rules. He can't deport the Somalis because many of the Somali immigrants, established themselves and got U.S. citizenship. Okay. And it's not like you can say Somalia is a safe country. Let's deport them back to Somalia. That would be facile and ridiculous, right? So they came up with a plan to eliminate the people they don't like out of the country under their immigration and xenophobia panic. And now they got a plan for Venezuela. At least we can get rid of a few 100,000 people we don't like. That's coming. I'm willing to bet money on it. As much as I'm willing to bet money that Cuba's next, Mexico's after that, then Colombia, then who knows who else. Because after they toss over, flip the mattress in a couple of rooms, it's going to be very explicit. Either you install a president who literally abides by my every word, or we're going to invade you. I would not eliminate them murdering the leaders of countries under the auspices of an invasion. Killing the head of the snake, as they called it in Iraq, but they missed, and we end up finding Saddam in a spider hole later. We try to kill him first with bombs, with airdrop bombs. A couple of times we try to kill him. So I can't rule out. I really hope the Mexican police and the Mexican army has created a multi-onion layer of security around Sheinbaum. She is directly at risk of arrest or worse at this very moment. Now, Cuba is a Grenada. That's meaningless. It's not like even though Grenada was complete bullshit, all that was about changing the news story of the evening news away from Reagan's corruption and the hundreds of people that were under investigation or getting indicted already. That's what Grenada was about. Cuba is just going to be about Mark Rubio's hard-on. So we'll knock that over in a matter of a few hours. It won't even take as long as we we did in Venezuela. Then we'll move on to Mexico. Once we hit Mexico, we disrupt the industrial corridor of North America. And if we hit Mexico, watch Canada lock down. They'll restrict their border. And then all shit's going to hell live. All the Canadians who work in the United States, all your money is going to be seized. Your retirements are not going to be exported back to Canada. They're going to take your 401ks from when you worked in America. It's going to get bad. That's why I never liked the retorts that people were putting online. Oh, this is what you voted for. Did anybody vote for a Great Depression? Did anybody vote for the dollar being worthless because we ran up too much debt and we're trying to run 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 countries? The same 5, 6 people are trying to run a half a dozen countries in South America, in Central America. Why you disrupt the supply chain? I don't think anybody voted for that. Maybe 1 or 2 insane people did, but I don't think even the Red Hatters voted for that. Did you vote for not having a hospital, a school, or a sheriff's department in your county? Because when the economy collapses, that's what's going to happen to your rural county. It will be the wild, wild west. Well, it'll be somewhere between the wild, wild west and like above ground and Fallout. Washington D.C. and will be more like the vaults in Fallout. Okay, we're heading into a era that I didn't think that was possible. I thought we were going a different direction in the 80s and 90s. Boy, was I wrong. Who won the global war on terror? Not us. We're eating ourselves alive. The winners are Putin, Xi, Kim Jong-un, Orban, Putin. We've just been losing for 20 years, 25 years now. We spent all our money overseas to win nothing. Again, we haven't won a war since the Treaty of San Francisco in 1951. Stop patting yourselves on the goddamn back. We're going to win a war in Venezuela just to lose our school system, Social Security, have the fucking old people in Minnesota literally kicked out in the cold? Because we know Joel Osteen ain't open up the doors when the Medicare gets canceled and all the old people get kicked out of their beds in the nursing home. We know it's not Joel Osteen's going to take care of them or fucking Copeland. You think Copeland's going to be flying old people around on his 6 private jets he has for his church, making sure they go somewhere to get care and housing? No, they are not. Oh, and you take away Medicare, you take away both their housing in the nursing home and their medical treatment. What are you going to get out of that? A rise in senior poverty, an incredible skyrocketing senior poverty, and a immoral, very noticeable increase in the mortality rate of seniors. But hey, dear leaders made himself the CEO of Venezuelan oil. We're winning. We're winning. You can't drive out your goddamn driveway without a flock camera tracking you and watching everything you fucking do as you drive through the city. Your police department sucks. Your schools are broke. Your city and your county both can't pave the roads, but we invaded Venezuela. Fuck. And the fact that how ill prepared they were for this and how it shown, their ill preparedness shone through in the press conference. Oh, the guys with already 2, 3, 4 jobs, no problem. They'll run Venezuela. like you ran Iraq. You remember who was the traffic coordinator for Baghdad? A campaign donor to Trump. I mean, a campaign donor to Bush, a rich dad. She just got out of college with no civil engineering training whatsoever. $200,000+ a year job in Iraq, redesigning the traffic of Baghdad. I know where Venezuela's going. Because we're going to say, oh, we're going to drill new wells for drinking water. We're going to build schools. Did we do that a lot? We did it a little. We got to make a little show for the press. Did we really try to rebuild Iraq or Syria or Djibouti or Somalia or Chad or Mali or Libya or any of the other countries we went into? Did we try to rebuild them like we did Japan or Germany? No. We put in 1% of the effort we did in the Marshall Plan, and they went, look at these people. We bombed the living fucking shit out of them, and they can't fucking make a good country. They can't establish institutions. See, these people are bad. I mean, I really want to ask, like, there was this guy that was out, this was a couple of years ago, maybe even be the first term with Trump. My wife and I would go out to dinner out to another town. They have a nice main street. So we go hang out. There's a bunch of restaurants and bars to choose from. And this guy was sitting next to his pickup truck with the total Trump regalia on his truck, plus himself. There was probably 15, 16 pieces of indicia with some sort of Trumpian nonsense on his truck or on his person. I'd like to find that guy again and talk to him, not yell at him, to talk to him. So, are you getting what you want out of the Trump administration? He's so concerned about America, his entire cabinet is now running Venezuela, and he's the CEO of Venezuelan oil. Are your parents aged? Are they elderly? You okay with us taking their Social Security and their Medicare checks away from them? Taking away their health insurance? If he is, he's probably a sociopath or a psychopath. Hates his parents anyways. Invading Venezuela was the answer to destroying our healthcare, throwing out the Constitution, invading U.S. cities, canceling tens of millions of people's ability to afford healthcare, while keeping every bad component of the healthcare system not just alive, but reinforced to extract money out of the working middle class. I would like to find him again. I'd like to have a talk with him. So how is viceroying Venezuela making America great again? Then I would like to ask him, what is the outcomes out of Venezuela? And the first words out of his mouth, because he watches Twitter, he reads the bad forums on Reddit, it's on Facebook, low information voter. It's going to result in cheaper gas prices. Maybe in 7 years, but probably not. Because if we don't have the renewables and we don't have other offsets for gasoline usage, whatever things we can extract, produce, and refine out of Venezuela, does it keep with the increase that we're already seeing and we've always seen in fuel usage? If you put Venezuelan oil on the market and use it for non-gasoline purposes as we align more and more to electrified passenger and delivery fleets, then things like diesel, kerosene, other things, yeah, they would get cheaper, but that's not the plan. They want to kill EVs, they want to kill solar, they want to kill windmills, and they want to extract Venezuelan oil at taxpayer expense while telling you what? Venezuelan oil will pay for it all, just like Iraq oil paid for it all. Oh, okay, Pinocchio. You're the most fucked up Pinocchio in the universe. Jesus. And now I'm in a political and moral and ethical conundrum. How do we get the attention of the military leaders like this nutty dude that's running the show at JSOC now, Kane, who, by the way, he was shoved out of the military. They didn't have a slot for him. And they're like, nah, no thanks, we don't want you anymore. Trump brought him back because Trump knew he would do his bidding. Okay, so if the military leadership, this is the best thing they can do with the military. This is the best operation, is to give Trump a chance to become the CEO of Venezuelan oil. Then what are we spending money on the military for? I'm saying that as a veteran. Same thing. I'm thinking about the police, especially the federal agents. If all you can do is attack people because they're brown and poor, why do we need to fund so many federal agents? Why aren't we slashing your budget? Same thing with the military, slashing the budget. Because if you're just going to follow questionable orders, I don't know if they're illegal or not illegal. I'm not an international law attorney. I didn't know what was in the backgrounds. I didn't know what the security findings are. But I'm questioning the priorities. This guy ran opposite, 110% opposite of what he's doing. He literally blamed Bush's strategy for everything that was wrong in America when he wasn't being racist and shitty toward Obama. Okay. Now he's doing the exact thing the neocons love. Sarah Longfellow today. Well, I'm a neocon. Oh, fuck you. Okay. You're the neocons is the ones that encourage this shit. Okay. Now, when we're like literally going broke, we're having the government shut down. We're losing all of our infrastructure. They're literally telling us, you're on your own, Americans. We don't give a fuck about you anymore. So what does Trump do? Go right straight down the neocon line. Regime change, nation building, national bankruptcy for Americans. Because I know what follows the invasions of Venezuela, Cuba, Mexico, and Colombia, and probably 3 other countries. Tax breaks for Donald Trump and his cronies. Tax breaks for Trump's cabinet. Tax breaks for Elon, Zuckerberg, Ellison. Not tax breaks for you. They'll just cut the budget. And then they'll push your grandma out the front door of the nursing home while it's snowing outside. Good luck, Granny. Hope you can make it, Martha. What this can of worms that just got opened is horrifying to me. He's copying Putin. He's doing the exact opposite he ran for office twice on. They went into a country and then at the press conference decided, who's running the country? Then they lie to us and say, this isn't costing us anything. It's going to cost us everything. It's going to cost us our public schools. It's going to cost us our local beat cop. It's going to cost us our hospital, our fire departments, our roads, our healthcare, our Medicare, our Social Security, our cancer research. And stuff we really need, like, Department of Agriculture's, anti-anthrax program for the Nebraska cattlemen. Okay? Because remember, Robert Kennedy Jr. doesn't believe in disease. He just thinks it's all magical gobbledygook. Eventually, they're just going to cancel the anti-anthrax program, and the ranchers are going to be on their own. You think beef's expensive now? Wait till we have another anthrax breakout in the cattle, and the government not giving a fuck when it happens. Because they're too busy taking things away from you to justify a tax break for the richest people in the world. Then the richest people in the world back him up when he invades another country and decides, hey, it's only going to cost money. It's only coming out of your pocket. And I'm the new CEO of Venezuelan oil. All good. I turned 60 in a couple of days. Like I said, I'm the oldest of the Gen Xers. I'm sitting here tonight fearing that despite all the money I've saved, everything I've invested over my life, um, it doesn't matter. World War III has started. Wars don't make economies grow. They sink economies. And since we've been at war constantly since Korea, because remember, we left Korea and we're literally days later had advisors in Vietnam. So we've never stopped fighting a war. We'll never stop fighting a war. We'll never stop giving tax breaks to the people who already have all the money anyways. And eventually the system's just going to snap. We're going to have a complete vapor lock of the economy. The dollar is going to collapse. Stock market's going to give out. Nobody's going to have any money. Nobody's going to have any money to retire. Your portfolios are going to get trashed. And I still lean towards the fact is that's probably their plan, to trash the entire economy, run everything into the dirt so they can come up. They have assets overseas. They can import cash back in. Oh, look, your farm went out of business. I'm going to go buy it at auction at a penny on the dollar. Oh, look, your deli, your coffee shop, your hair salon, your mechanic shop, your electrical business, your plumbing business. Oh, you went out of business because no American suddenly had money because we ran the money supply into the ground. We had to invade Mexico. I fully expect to live my life in a crappy economy, a poor economy with rising crime, sort of a low key Lord of the Flies. My kids don't have a shot. Your kids don't have a shot. Your kids are approaching 30 in their early 30s. They barely made it ahead of the total disaster. The kids next generation, you're toast. Our grandkids, they're toast. I'm sorry, are you the granddaughter of Ellison? Then you don't have a prayer. You'll never own a home. You'll never own a car. You will always be in debt. You'll subscribe to anything, own almost nothing. But hey, a bunch of Americans are going to be viceroys of Venezuela, Cuba, Mexico, and Colombia, and at least 3 other countries. You ready for it? It's coming. Nothing we're doing is supporting the American populace right now. Nothing. The technology is being used against us. It's not being used for us to make our lives better. That's why I've been in the tech industry now approaching 30 years. Me and a lot of my friends who have been in the industry a long time, we're getting sick and tired of the tech bros, sick and tired of the tech leadership. You're in it for yourself and you'll make everybody's life fucking miserable as long as you succeed. Okay. The business leaders don't care. The political leaders don't care. If they had cared, they would have impeached Trump already. Now 2, 3, 4, 5 fucking times over. But they simply do not care. They're in and out. They're out for themselves. They just see the law of the jungle, Lord of the Flies, African warlords in Somalia. That's all they see. Whether the country works or not in the way the founding fathers intended, do you really think this is what Thomas Paine, Ben Franklin, and Benjamin Rush had it as an idea for this country? You think John Jay would have been down with this? Because that's one thing I've done a lot in my life. I've read a lot about what the fathers wrote. I mainly read their letters so I can understand what they wrote in their own voice. Okay. This is a fucking disaster in the founding fathers' eyes. Are you personally prepared to go through this disaster? I can hunker down, but even I'm saying psychologically, I mean, physically, safety wise, I can hunker down. I can be all right. Sure. I can cut back on my expenses, make my money last longer as I get older. Maybe. Am I psychologically ready for this? Am I psychologically ready for my kids not to have any opportunity in this country? Because right now, if I think one of my kids have children and I have grandchildren, my wife and I have grandchildren, I think the grandchildren's best prospects is being a neo-feudal corporatist slave in an accelerationist economy. Because we ain't capitalist people. If you still think we're running capitalism, no. Again, I wrote an essay about that. American Dream is assassinated in 1978. We have been corporate socialists since 1981 under Ronald Reagan. God, I wish we were capitalist. Because if we were, we'd have put the fucking bankers in the mortgage crisis in jail. Because the answer is not bailouts in capitalism. It's bankruptcy, liquidation, and receivership. And I know the alpha bros are going to sit there and preach how, oh my God, the world is being made better. Every single quarter this year in 2025, and the fourth quarter looks like it's going to be the same thing. We're just blowing through cash like we've always done. Doge didn't save shit. Okay. Now he's going to take $100 billion out to pay welfare payments to a variety of people, from importers to farmers, to cover the damage of the tariffs he said made money. Okay. I've said this many times before. I'll say it again. The man can't do simple arithmetic. What was the show? Are you smarter than a sixth grader or an eighth grader or whatever? The answer is no. He's not. Like I think today I decided a few things. Like, one thing is I'm going to take a bunch of my US dollars and I'm going to convert them to Canadian dollars and euros for a currency hedge, number one, and flight money if necessary, number two. I think it's so disturbing. If we didn't have these greedy, crazy bastards, none of this shit would be happening. Like, I'll talk more of it when I go through Chief Justice Roberts' annual judiciary report, which I already read. I got to read it again to make sure I get the details and I take proper notes. But I talked about founding father Benjamin Rush just a couple minutes ago. He was a doctor, a physician. He thought public health care was part of America's founding. That's what he wanted. What are we getting? Fuck you. We're taking away all your health care. Unless you're a millionaire, good luck treating that heart attack or cancer or some genetic order. Fuck you. We don't care anymore. Dr. Rush would have not been happy. Okay. Thomas Paine said, there are no dictators. There's nobody above the law. Now we have plenty of people above the law, including drug traffickers, people who do murder for hires, people who steal money from their own constituents as a politician. Yeah, we have plenty of people that are above the law. Dear Leader Pornstar Humper made sure of that. Dear Leader wants to destroy the post office. He put in his little underling zealot sycophant DeJoy in the post office to destroy it. That was the creation of Benjamin Franklin, our greatest founding father in my book. Definitely the smartest dude back then. That dude was way ahead of his time smart. I mean, beyond discovering electricity. I mean, this dude was smart. I have several of his books. I have all his letters. I've read all of his letters. Amazing, amazing, amazing human. Um, they want to close the post office. Ben Franklin's creation. That was supported by John Jay. John Jay solicited George Washington to create the post office under Franklin's idea, backed up Franklin. And Washington established it and made Franklin the first postmaster general. Why? Because you couldn't freely communicate in feudal France. That's why. The post office is not a business. It's a free form of messaging, letters, and packages. That it's available to everybody that lives in the country. You don't need the king or the lord stamp to send a communique or a package. Now we're trying to pretend that, as the far right has done many a times, things that are in the Constitution are unconstitutional. They didn't want the census counted a couple of terms back. Remember that? Because they didn't want to know the shift in America. They just wanted to maintain the power they had. They didn't want any shifting to do in the census. That's why they didn't want to take the census data. They started calling the census unconstitutional. It's written in the Constitution. Couple of lines down from the post office and postal roads, by the way. The post office is in the fucking Constitution. Is invading Venezuela to make the president the CEO of their oil industry? Is that in the Constitution? I don't think so. If it is, I missed that part. As you can tell, I'm frustrated. I'm tweaked. I'm appalled. And I'm worried for the country, society, the economy. Because remember, quality of life and the economy are directly correlated. This guy runs the dollar into the ground or runs the economy back in the ground. Everyone's quality of life goes down. Now, what he thinks creates quality of life is the exact opposite of what creates quality of life. But also, yeah, I can't help, that little, devil on your shoulder there biting at my ear going, you know what? Are all is all this is all their efforts, is all the regime's efforts simply from a pace of cruelty, animus, racism, and xenophobia? And the more and more I think about it, I get a yes, 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 and yes. They literally think they're the privileged few. Nobody else deserves to be here. It's like if Dear Leader Pornstar Hummer could get the 5 galactic stones, he would make a fist and wipe out half the people on Earth. That was the same thing in the spy movie, the Kingsman. Samuel L. Jackson was the rich billionaire who wanted to wipe out half the planet. It's a recurring theme in movies and in dystopian sci-fi. But they don't realize if you wipe out half the people, and half those people are all the people you don't like, you're wiping out all the workers. What's left is all the iconoclasts who can't even wipe their own ass without a valet or a maid. They literally have this wipe them all out doctrine in their head, but they still think in the end they have their plantation, they have their slaves, they have their valet, they have their maids. All the little underlings are still here, even after they collapse their fist wearing the Infinity Stones. Or snap their fingers, whatever Thanos did there. Or whatever cell phone mind-blowing thing they did in the Kingsman. I'm beginning to think that this is the plan these guys really are after. I mean, I really do think that this is, and I've thought this since the beginning of the first term, this is the deconstruction of America for a handful of people's profit and power. And the other people who go along with it, do not realizing they're committing various forms of suicide across the board. Economic suicide, national security suicide, quality of life. That's all being destroyed. It's all being killed off because they think they can make more money. And all if they have to do is get rid of the little people they don't like, they'll be even wealthier. But they don't understand their wealth is a product of other people's work. I wrote the AI essay the other day, the good, the bad, the ugly about AI. And I think that one of the uglies about AI is that falling into what I just said, they think AI can replace people. Now they don't need the people. I mean, in a Nazi way, they don't need the people. I think they're beginning to think like that, and people like Miller have always thought like that. To say we're in dangerous times is an understatement. To say I'm worried is even a bigger understatement. Like, how do they think they're going to get through all this, given what they're doing is so obviously destructive? Now, this is the most ridiculous part of this. I'm already seeing posts. My friend sent me one off of Reddit. Oh, the cocaine market was just waylaid by the arrest of Maduro. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. They can shoot 1,000 boats in the Caribbean they think have cocaine on it or another narcotic. Okay. They'll just change the routes. We've already been through this twice. Okay. We did this huge interdiction under late Reagan, early Bush. We had Navy uh, surveillance aircraft like the Orions flying in the Caribbean. We had Navy patrol boats, Coast Guard with DEA personnel on board, and we were going to police the entire Caribbean. Didn't slow down cocaine at all. It wasn't like there was no cocaine to be had in Los Angeles or San Francisco or Oakland or Portland or Las Vegas because there was a Navy ship in the Caribbean. Oogie boogie. Okay, you're talking about drug dealers who kill each other on a daily fucking basis, and you think they're worried about being shot at by a boat. Their whole lives is living with the chance they're going to get killed today. They think the risk brings the reward. They're not scared of a Navy ship. They're not scared of a surveillance craft. They're not going to worry about a couple of people get shot or arrested by a Coast Guard cutter. It's the cost of doing business. Because even the length of those boats, some of the reports of the boats were like 14 feet. Okay, you can move a couple of 1,000 pounds in that boat. Okay, depending on the motors. And the heavier the amount of the load, the more fuel you need, the more times you need to stop and refuel. That really questions are these actual boats that are heading toward Florida, Key West, Houston, Mississippi River, whatever. Well, not if they have to stop 22 times for fuel because they're carrying too much of a load. So a lot of the base logic, a lot of the base math doesn't work out. But this whole thing where I can be a tough guy, scream lethality while I'm doing a pull up, and cocaine trafficking will stop. If you think a boast and doing 20 pull ups is going to get cocaine markets to stop, not the trafficking, the market. If you think that's going to stop a market, the hole in the size of the hole in your fucking head has to be enormous. Literally makes zero sense of what you're claiming. Oh, and most of the fentanyl isn't shipped on those boats. It's carried over the border by people coming through embarkation points, transfer points. And a lot of them are white. A lot of the mules are white. Always been that way. Now, what's going to be funny is when he repeats the stuff he said about TDA and the gangs when he repeats it about the Cubans, and Marco Rubio backs him up 110%. Oh, the Cuban gangs were in Chicago and they were cutting off the hands of the people who called the fire department. They're going to repeat it, and they're going to completely agree it. And they're all going to say, oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's like they're all sitting in the room with evil Morty on Rick and Morty. They're all scared of him. And that's what it is. They're all scared of this guy. They're all scared of the gang leader who's in control of the street gang. And whatever lie he says about Cuba, they're going to eat it up. Whatever lie they say about Mexico, they're going to eat it up. Whatever they say about Colombia, even though Colombia is our closest ally in South America, up until January of this year when Trump started to shit on them, they're going to make up lies and the rubes are going to eat it up. They spent the space aliens in Independence Day to attack the White House, and the White House got blown up. Sir, that was a movie. No, no, no. Colombia did that. Okay, Colombia did that. Like I said before in essays and on these things, you could say the sky is orange with blinking gold and platinum polka dots, and the acolytes and the sycophants will look up at the sky as blue as any other day and go, wow, it's orange with blinking polka dots. Blinking metallic polka dots is exactly what they'll say. So wait, Cuba is weeks to months away. Even if an insurgency starts in Venezuela, they're going to hit Cuba because now they're following the neocon book. If you're losing in Iraq, you invade Syria, Libya, Djibouti, and you send a bunch of troops in to support the French and the Portuguese in Chad and Mali. Because that's always the solution to losing in one theater, starting 4 other theaters. With no one actually, but this time, no one actually being in charge, and nobody, and it's far. I mean, Venezuela is going to be far worse than Iraq. In Iraq, at least you had a figurehead, but the figurehead couldn't get any of the parts working together. That's why the reconstruction was such a farce. Now we're not even going to have that figurehead. We're just going to look around the room. Well, all these guys are going to run Venezuela, and it's all going to result in America making $1 trillion. What I want to know, oh, Mexico? Yes. Yes. Venezuela's number 1. Cuba's number 2. Mexico, then Colombia. He just declared war on the hemisphere, Hope. This is a hemisphere-wide war they have just declared. Any neighbor who does not have a sycophantic government with a leader bending their knee to our president in this regime will be invaded, their leader will be arrested, and their government will be overthrown. The same thing that Putin wants in Ukraine, Moldova, and Latvia, and many other countries, now Trump wants in this hemisphere. Restating it to make sure that everybody's clear about what's going to happen. Why did we invade Venezuela? Because we could. Because they couldn't stop us. I mean, Venezuela doesn't have a good military. They have a domestic security force that's kind of half-ass. I mean, it's not like total garbage like, some African warlord, but it ain't good either. Okay, it isn't Colombia. Colombia is a well-trained military, intelligence, and police service. Okay, we know the Army trained them. The U.S. Army trained them. Okay, the only reason we invaded Venezuela because they literally could not stop us. They have no units that could take on an elite team like 3rd Squadron Delta. They have a couple of troopers with basic training and a few cops and a few intelligence. Nobody above the caliber of Rangers, Marine RDS, Marine Raiders, never mind SEAL Team 6 or Delta 3. No. They literally couldn't stop us. That's why we did it. And that's why we're going to do Cuba. Cuba will not be able to stop us. So we're just going to knock them over at working class American expense. Your services will be destroyed to pay for this and pay for the tax cuts they're going to give themselves again in the middle of all this. Because remember, we went to a war in Iraq. What we were on a tax break and a shopping gift card. Remember that. As soon as it started going wrong in Iraq, we couldn't make it go right in Afghanistan. That's what pisses me off so much about Iraq. We needed the fucking troops in Afghanistan because we needed to find and hunt down bin Laden, El Zahari, and the rest of that crew. Okay. Just because they're nutters. Okay. Because would they have driven other planes into other buildings? Yes, they would have. Would they have attacked other clubs like they attacked the Baudelaire Cafe in Paris, France? Yes, they would have. Would they attack the airports like they did in Italy? Yes, they would have. So we need to whack those fuckers. I don't like it. It sucks. Okay. I'd rather deal with them as a civilian law enforcement problem, but we couldn't. It was beyond that point. Once you start running planes in the building and killing thousands of people at the same time, well, but yeah, we need the troops in Afghanistan. Military intelligence, the Green Berets knew where bin Laden was going, Tora Bora, the mountains, and we fucked around. And we got distracted in Iraq, and we started losing Iraq. Then we decided, oh, 6 more countries is the answer. Our up tempo got so high, so many GIs started killing themselves, so many guys were getting hurt. So many people, their just back and knees were wearing out. Like so many SEALs, Marines, Rangers, Green Berets I've met since the start of the global war on terror, all have the same complaints about their bodies. Their bodies are just worn out. Okay. So since the Trump regime, who said they hated the neocons, because remember, the entire MAGA movement started with the hate of neocons. We've come full circle as of today in Venezuela. The MAGA is now neocon too, except with far more animus, far more destruction, far more fucked upness. And at this time, I think they're literally risking the dollar and the entire U.S. economy by doing this. Because now this is not whatever they fucking called it, Operation Able Fuckwad. I don't know what they called it, but it's going to be Operation Invade Countries to build Trump's fiefdom until the economy collapses and the dollar surrenders. And once that happens, we've got 15 to 20 years of rebuilding to do. And unfortunately, most of us will do it as very, very poor families. I mean, go back and look at what they call her, the Aphrodite or the Cleopatra of the Midwest, the famous Depression photograph of the woman and the 2 kids. Yeah, that's about to happen again. And the thing is, Congress isn't going to deal with this Monday. They'll make some noise about it, sure. They'll try to establish some linkage with a couple of Republicans who don't like it either, and they'll do a press conference. They'll stand in front of the lectern. They'll complain. But are they going to invoke congressional power over the War Powers Act? No, that's not happening. Even after he invades Cuba and tells you Mexico's next, that's not happening. Democrats won't even care. Democrats are going to care about health care because they know health care is going to get them reelected. But we can't have health care because it's never going to pass with the regime. Trump's never going to sign it. The majority of Republicans and independents are never going to get on board with them. It's simply not going to pass. But they're going to bark up the health care tree while ignoring the invasion of the Caribbean, South America, and the Caribbean and Central America. How many of these wars are we going to win? I know they declared victory over Venezuela. Total victory. Oh, look at us. Lethality, bro. Okay, if we won, put up the fucking mission accomplished sign. Okay. 94% of our casualties, something like that, happened after you put up the mission accomplished sign in Iraq. So put up the mission accomplished sign now, assholes. Because I know what it's going to look like a year from now. And remember, they're invading Venezuela. And I'm telling you with high certainty, high confidence, that Cuba, Mexico, and Colombia, and at least 3 other countries are all the dominoes that are going to fall. And Republicans are going to continue to try to shut down the Veterans Administration. Angry male vet, Matt, the Marine, angry Marine, Lieutenant General Hertling. Mark my fucking words. They're in the middle of the hemisphere war of Trumpianism. They're going to shut down the Veterans Administration. I put that at a good 66, 70% chance. Patricia just said Congress does nothing. They can't look past their own parties and have forgotten who they serve. That is a 100% true, absolutely true statement. And it's why I'm an independent, a nonpartisan independent. I have no political party. I will never have a political party. Okay? Because that's what's wrong with political parties. They're out for themselves. They're out for the reelection. Many of them are only out for their portfolio because they get all this insider information in Congress and they trade on it. Hell, they caught the one guy with his laptop open in the committee hearing just a couple of minutes ago, trading on the very companies in the industry they're having the committee hearing on. So yeah, I don't like either party. I don't like any party. This is why I've been asking everybody, be independent, vote independent, run for local office as an independent. You know who's the best independent there ever was? George Washington. He didn't have a political party. He just served the country. Then when they said, hey, we'd like you to be king, he went, you're out of your fucking mind. I'm going home because I have a farm to run. Martha and I would like to go home and, be Martha and George and run our farm. And beside, the whole point of starting America wasn't having a king. I put up in notes the other day. I don't know if any of you saw it, that now the MAGA base, the Trumpian base, is now anti-Hamilton. Because if you read Federalist Paper number 69, the unadjudicatable president is anti-Hamiltonian. Don't tell me you've read the Federalist Paper and you're a member of the Federalist Society and you're a quote-unquote conservative when you believe the president is a unadjudicatable king. Because that's what you all believe today. All you nutters on the far right. This whole excuse, well, the reason Biden didn't release all the Epstein files, it was because you knew Bill Clinton was in them. I don't care who the fuck is in the Clinton files. I know I'm not in them. So anybody else not in them? I know my friends aren't in them. And I have some wealthy friends. Okay? I'm pretty sure they weren't on that plane and not on that island. Okay? Nobody I know. My sons weren't on that plane. Okay? I've never gotten a massage as an adult male from a child. So if Bill Clinton is in the files, burn his ass too. Fuck him. Fuck Bill Gates. Fuck Alan Dershowitz. Fuck anybody else that's in that file, including Noam Chomsky, who, even though I think he's a little weird, I know he's really intelligent. He's the Einstein of linguistics. Not that everything he said about linguistics is right. Some of the things we had to update later. But yeah, if they burn Noam Chomsky, do I care? No. Burn Bill Clinton at the political stake. Do I care? No. So stop telling me. One, stop telling me because I don't like Dear Leader Pornstar Humper that I'm automatically a liberal Democrat, because I'm not. Or I'm some sicko fan of Joe Biden. I'm not. I voted for Kamala Harris out of fucking necessity. And that necessity was survival instinct that many Americans do not possess. Okay. What do we do next? I got to think about that. My next live session, I'm going to talk about the 2025 Chief Justice Roberts judiciary report. Like I said, I got to read it again, make some extended notes, because wow, that just took a turn, and hopefully that will play into hopefully mitigating some of the problems of the now new hemispheric war. The MAGA hated global wars under the neocons, but they like hemispheric wars, which they get to be the neocons. So hopefully Justice Roberts' turn will give us an indicator of how we can mitigate these problems going on. But right now, yeah, find the helmet, put on the helmet. This is it, folks. The air raid sirens are going off. Put on your bulletproof vest or your flak jacket. Put on your helmet. Stand guard. We're ready. This is it. This is happening. It's game on. Now we're in the problem that I always predicted we would be in. Now it's here. It's like that African kid on TikTok. See, it's this simple thing. It's here. It's right here. See, everybody. That's the way I feel today. So, okay, I'll be on the line again soon. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for a nice crowd tonight. Thank you for some of my regulars. I see Judy and M Hope and Pamela and a few others. Thank you so much. Oh, and thank you for the likes and subscribes and follows. You guys have been really racking them up. I'm approaching 1,000 now, and I really appreciate that. Continue to restack things. I really appreciate that too. I'll be online again soon, and we'll talk about some more things. Until next time, please, 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 please think about it.